Coming up on this episode of Community Health Connections, we hear first-person stories about living with mental health issues and the power of peer-to-peer support.
Part of my getting over my self-stigma about mental illness is to talk about it and to tell my story.
Student filmmakers take on the issues of stigma and suicide prevention.
Because you never know what someone might be going through that might not show physically.
We meet the Smithsons and their very large family.
We wanted a relationship-based company, one that was meaningful to the clients that we were expecting to work with, as well as to ourselves.
But first, meet the animals of Forget-Me-Not Farm that offer unconditional love to children healing from past trauma.
We get to help out the animals. I'm guessing they had a hard life, so I try my best and I hope it's enough for them.
Welcome to Community Health Connections. I'm Oscar Chavez. This episode explores mental health in our community. In our first story, we visit Forget-Me-Not Farm, a unique therapy program that uses rescued animals and organic gardening to help young victims of neglect and abuse heal from trauma.
A nice country of fruits just for you.
Yeah.
If you can
Just
get
a little
it.
bit.
I like feeding the pigs. I like having the horses, brushing them. I like seeing the baby lamb. My favorite part was being in the pasture with Reno. I like being Raymond. More than doing anything.
Here at Forget-Me-Not Farm, just doing what I do. I love it here. I love the animals. I love this. It's peaceful. It's quiet. It's fun to work at. It's an amazing place, and I love to spend more time here.
So many of the children that are in this program have been betrayed by their parents. Of the 400 kids that we serve in this program, about 80% of them are not living at home with their families. And a lot of these kids have been pulled away really early on. And I think the message that they receive is that nobody loves them. And so our job is really to instill in them that they are loved. We started 21 years ago trying to teach them some nurturing and empathy and caring skills. We've never charged for our services, and so as the budget cuts keep coming and caseworkers and clinicians are looking for enrichment programs and different ways to provide therapy for their kids, they start to hear about our program and they start to come to us.
Working with abused and neglected animals is a way for the kids to see that they, number one, aren't the only folks that have been hurt in life, and that they have something positive to offer to another person, or in this case, an animal. It also is empowering. I mean, when you're this little guy around these really big farm animals, it inspires a sense of confidence.
They need someone to take care of them. Like, some of them have disabilities, some of them are old, some of them are just sometimes being a pain, but they all need someone to take care of them, someone to nurture and feed them, because some of them had a rough life in the past, and we're just here to make it better for the future.
One of the things we do there is help take care of the animals, feed the animals and brush them, groom them, and just do our best to help them out. I'm guessing that they're adopted, and so we tried best to take care of them. Sometimes we spent time in the garden. My favorite person there was this guy named Max. He was really nice to me, and I got to pick out my own veggies for everybody. A lot of time I picked chives and stuff, because I like onions, but
I think what's so cool about our gardens here is the kids really see the full process of being part of planting and harvesting and taking home and eating. And so each group that comes out gets a box of various vegetables, whatever is best and ready to harvest. A lot of times staff will come out with kids and I'll say, let's try this, let's try some kale. And they'll say, oh no, they won't eat that, they never eat that. And then they come out here and they're trying everything. So there's something kind of special about really being with the food that makes it, that gives them kind of a deeper connection and just makes it taste better, I think.
The staff at Forget Me Not Farm spend a lot of time educating the kids. They do a really nice job talking about that whole cycle of the garden to the table, and the kids enjoy it.
No matter what their mental health diagnosis is, we look at the whole body. We don't talk about what their problems are or what got them here. We're trying to give them a place to move forward. What we're doing with the kids doesn't look like it's intentionally therapeutic, and yet the lesson is that when a child is in a stall with 2 or 3 other children and they're cleaning that stall, there is so much going on besides just cleaning the stall. They're learning to work together, they're being respectful together, they're learning to take care of the animal. A lot is happening under your eyes and you just don't see it.
We have a pig Van Gogh, and he's this just really sweet pig. You can see into his soul when you look in his eyes. I, a lot of times, will bring the kids to Van Gogh and say, look, you know, what do you see that's different about Van Gogh?
And my favorite part of visiting Forget Me Not is feeding this pig that his ears got bit off by wild dogs.
We'll talk about how he was kind of in a bad situation and wasn't really being taken care of, and now he's here at this farm and this is his home. We talk about how happy he is, and we pet him and we feed him.
After we have snack, we always take the rinds of a watermelon or orange peels or something like that and feed them to the pig.
I think that there's some wheels turning for them in that way, and I think that is another reason why this is such a unique, special place.
I think it's important for me to go to the farm because we get to help out the animals a lot, trying to take care of them so much that they'll be grateful. Because I'm guessing they had a hard life, so I try my best and I hope it's enough for them.
I think the most valuable lesson that they could learn is really about relationship. There's just something that's mutually satisfying for both the animals and the people to spend time together like that. I know they see themselves getting cared for here, and I think it's really nice for them to be able to turn around and care for another creature.
I think this is the type of program that if you're not that into animals, maybe, it might not have a great effect, but if you do enjoy what we're doing here, I think it can be something that they'll carry with themselves their whole lives. I look forward to being here in years and seeing the kids as adults that I've worked with, and maybe some of them will say, hey, that was fun. Maybe others will be like, man, we worked outside in the sun all the time, and thanks for that, you know? We'll see. I think it's kind of just like planting seeds and hoping that they grow.
This is a typical day for a dedicated husband and wife team whose unconventional approach is building a community of inclusion.
I'm Forrest Smithson.
And I'm Barbara Smithson. Hi, everybody.
It's Monday morning at the Sonoma Valley Bagel Shop in Santa Rosa, and Forrest Smithson is having a gathering of the crew. 50 clients and 20 community trainers have come here to make a plan for the day. They call it a Community Sustained Program, CSP for short, and it's unique because Forrest and his staff use the entire North Bay as their office.
Hi, Kathy. There, I see you pointing at me. Wait, let me get a pen. So this is a Monday morning at CSP. Everyone comes from wherever they live. Some people from Sonoma, some from Windsor, some from Sebastopol, Rincon Valley, Petaluma. We go out and pick them up wherever they come from. Some of them walked over here, some took the bus. We all show up here on Monday mornings. They get together, get a chance to regroup, get a sense of where they belong again. They'll come in and plan their day, plan their week, take off about 10 o'clock. Go do their thing, however they plan their day, and do it all again tomorrow.
Their clients deal with a wide range of mental health issues, and the objective is to help them have a good day out and about instead of alone or in a home.
We came up with this idea of having a day program that's in the community without a building. have him talk to someone, Travis. See how you do.
We're getting more and more people that are not wanting to live in group homes. They're wanting the experience of living independently in their apartments with their boyfriends, with their girlfriends, or even they have an affinity towards the street and they seem to edge towards that kind of lifestyle.
We wanted a relationship-based company, one that created a high trust environment, one that was meaningful to the clients that we were expecting to work with, as well as to ourselves. Now there's 50, so we have 50 clients who are attending. So every day, that's a lot of information that's coming from a lot of different directions.
You want my right side or left side?
Okay, John has been waiting so patiently. Yeah.
The staff is responsible for giving each client $12 a day spending money.
So once the staff assignment sheet gets out to the staff, they come and they check in with me and they say, hey, Jessica, this is who I have today. How much money do they have in their checkbook? I fell in love with the clients immediately. I've been here for about a year, and at this job, it really completes me.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You have no idea. It was a weight off my shoulders. Because I went through a ton of jobs when I was younger, and I never heard of this place. And when I first heard of it, I was like, what the heck? Let's check it out. And my first day I was here, I was like, I don't have a disability. Well, guess what? Yeah, I do.
The community trainers use their own cars to take 2 or 3 clients around town. They run errands, meet up with other friends, and like everyone else, enjoy a meal or two.
This program is awesome. The clients are great. It doesn't feel like you're working at all because you're helping the clients through their day.
Funding and monitoring CSP, as well as many other programs, is the job of the North Bay Regional Center.
What's really great about the Regional Center system, it's a grassroots, community-based system. It was started by a group of parents. It's a grassroots movement. It's a civil rights movement because we are still changing people's beliefs.
Knowing me, I'll aim for one side and it'll totally go the other way. It's very rewarding and very fun. The clients are just amazing. They're just so full of energy and just heart, and they're just so carefree and just amazing people.
Great experience to be out and be with these people, it's very humbling.
It brings me a love for people that I've never had before.
You know what? We got a lot of guff in the beginning from the referral agency. Well, what are you going to do with these people all day long? I said, well, hey, what do you do all day long?
Oh, nice! Good job.
Bye, Kevin. See you tomorrow, okay?
Now, in our special Youth Voices segment, meet student filmmaker Emma Speakerman, whose award-winning film centers on stigma surrounding mental illness.
Hi, I'm Emma, the producer of a short film about eliminating stigma of mental illness. Here's my film, More Than a Mental Illness.
You are my friend. You are not a mental illness, because you cannot be defined by that. Just as I cannot be defined by my race, gender, or sexuality. You can be defined by your strength, both literally and figuratively, and by your amazing sense of humor. You always know how to put a smile on my face. You can also be defined by your passion for music. There are endless definitions to who you are. Unfortunately, there are some people who would rather define us by what makes us different than them. However, you are more similar to me than many of those people are. I stand up for you because you deserve a lot better than you often endure. You are not your mental illness because that could have happened to anyone. You are uniquely you because of your character.
So I'm here with the actors, Sarah and Nico, to discuss how we made the film and also talk about mental illness. So what were your guys' thoughts when we were making the film?
I really wanted to try hard to display how difficult it is for people with mental illnesses, in some cases at least, to associate with other people. But for the most part, I really just was myself, because that's the idea of the PSAB, that people with mental illnesses aren't people with mental illnesses, they're people, just like you.
I feel the same. It was really a great experience to get to talk about something that people don't really talk a lot about in high school. And it was really fun to do it with you two. You're both my friends. And it was just overall a great experience. Why did you make this PSA, and why did you choose this topic for it specifically?
Well, when I heard about the Directing Change contest, I was really inspired. I love the idea that young people can get involved to make a difference about topics like mental illness and suicide prevention. So I chose this particular topic because my parents work in this field, but also because I've also known people, who've suffered with mental illness, and I wanted to spread this message of acceptance for them. And the same thing, like they're people too, and they're just like us.
But what else are you going to do? And how can people like Sarah and I work to eliminate the stigma as well?
Educating yourself about mental illness and becoming informed is a really good start. And then kind of taking that with you with your interactions with other people. If someone says something misinformed or derogatory, just kind of kindly correcting them about it. And also I think high school can be kind of a tough place. So if you just kind of are kind to everybody you meet, and also include people that might feel a little bit left out, that can be a great start. Because you never know what someone might be going through that might not show physically.
I really agree. I think that it's really a profound message that everybody can help, and not everybody always realizes that, saying something small to somebody might make their entire day better, and it might just help make a big step towards eliminating the stigma altogether.
Thank you so much for being here, and also thank you for being in the film. You guys did a really amazing job.
It was my pleasure. I had a lot of fun with it, so
Yeah.
I'll see if I can get involved in this kind of stuff more often.
Yeah, it was really fun to film with you both.
It was. And you can visit directingchange.org to learn more about the film competition. Now let's take a look at two of the other award-winning films.
The danger isn't obvious until it's too late. By paying attention to the warning signs, you can help prevent suicide. If you are concerned about someone, address the issue and ask if they are thinking about suicide, or contact an adult and share your concern. You can also contact the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline, 1-800-273-8255.
Because of the extreme stigma experienced by people with mental health issues, many are reluctant to speak publicly. But as we hear in this next segment, it is through telling their own stories that the community can gain recognition, understanding, and compassion.
Because people need to know that there really is still a very stigmatized thing about mental health, and people go, oh, that's a person with a mental health issue.
As far as stigma goes, it's probably something that almost all people who have had mental health difficulties has experienced.
And it can really cause lack of self-esteem.
And it doesn't make me
a monster or a weirdo or a schizo.
We all use things like crazy and loony, or we call people aschizophrenic.
People think that if you have a mental health issue, that it means you belong in an insane asylum and that you're going to be in a hospital and all that.
Rarely do I really talk openly about it. Part of my getting over my self-stigma about mental illness is to talk about it and to tell my story.
We tell our own stories.
We tell our own stories.
We tell our own stories.
I was hurting, I was in pain, I was in a dark place, I couldn't communicate. When you're psychotic, it's basically like you're living in another reality that's not real. It's like a science fiction movie. For me, it's been that way. But the problem is I believe very wholeheartedly that everything around me is real.
I've been chronically depressed for, have had chronic major depression for over 25 years. It's just been a part of my life. Mental health issues and depression just drain you. They drain you. Even subconsciously, if you're having an okay day, it's working on you. And it's exhausting. Depression is exhausting.
When I first started, I was homeless. I was without housing for 3 months. Everybody that I know of has had difficulty in their lives. The only difference is in the matter of degree. And, they don't get so depressed that they're completely disabled.
How do I define, or what do I think of when I hear the word well-being?
Well-being to me is basically it's a state of mind, but it's also kind of a spiritual state too, maybe. You could say where everything can be at rest and happy with what's going on now.
So, and I don't think there can be real well-being without a sense of ownership of your life. I'm doing pretty well now in my life, and I wouldn't have been able to get to this state of well-being by myself. Welcome to the Wellness and Advocacy Center. This is a drop-in mental health center for anybody who has experienced mental or emotional distress. Come on in.
So when people walk through the door of a place like the Wellness and Advocacy Center or Interlink or the Russian River Empowerment Center or the Center in Petaluma, people are greeted with a lot of warmth and compassion and acceptance. That there's something about talking with somebody else who has been in a similar situation that can often be really good medicine.
Being seen as a peer, being seen as a friend, being seen as a member is much more human than being seen as a patient.
I can sit and empathize with you, but I can't really say, well, I've been there. But peer-to-peer, they can go, oh yeah, I know, that's what I deal with. And so peer-to-peer support, I think, is super important because you're talking to someone who's actually been there.
I love your drawing. It's beautiful. What we do here, what we have here is invisible. We think about how many suicides have not happened because people found their way here. How many crimes out of desperation have not happened because people found their way here. I never knew that there was such a thing as recovery. And I didn't really know that there was such a thing as help available.
If you find out someone has a mental health disability or a problem, don't give up on them.
It does take motivation, it does take work, you can't just give up.
Being proactive and seeing a doctor if you need to, going into a program if you need to, getting on meds if you need to. It's only now that the government and society and people are really starting to go, oh, okay, it's just like having a physical affliction like a heart or kidney problem.
Just keep on going, don't go back to the past.
God is a big part of my life, and I do have a faith, and that's been able to sustain me.
What works for me is friends, music, movies, keeping it real. Breathing is good. Meditation can help sometimes if I can do it, it's so tricky. But I do yoga. In some ways, I feel like I'm on the path to recovery. I don't feel like I'm recovered, but I'm working on it every day.
There is not only one story.
There are many stories.
If there is only one,
then it's a stereotype.
We are not a stereotype.
We are not a statistic.
We are part of the community.
We are grateful to everyone who told their story here. Thank you for watching this episode of Community Health Connections. To see past episodes and to learn more about this program, visit krcb.org/health.